Hi, I'm Emily Amick,
And I'm Joe Piazza.
and we've got issues.
And so do you. We all do.
Our country certainly does.
And that is why we're here. We're here to give you a weekly dose of the news you need to know without the cringe, the exaggeration, or the hype.
We're here to keep you informed, but also to give you hope because we all deserve hope.
We do. We do indeed. So much hope. So much. Each episode will take one or two topics and help you break it all down for what it means for you, your family, your community, without all of the BS.
And we will always end on a happy note.
Always. Always.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about post-Roe America and women dying because they cannot access abortions.
I am so horrified about this. I mean, it has led almost every conversation that I've been having lately. I just, despite the fact that I knew where we were heading, I am in shock that we are currently living in a country where women are dying from things that could be easily fixed, where they could be easily saved. It feels like a dystopia right now.
It is tragic. So ProPublica, which is a nonprofit investigative news outlet, has published the first of what they say are two stories, but I imagine it will be a lot more, about a woman in Georgia who in 2022, the year of our Lord, died because she had an abortion and a piece of fetal tissue was still left in her body, and she developed sepsis. And the doctors at the hospital were too scared to provide her the D&C, the abortion care that she needed, because of the draconian abortion laws that were passed in Georgia post Dobbs. And so they waited 20 hours for her to get surgery until she was about to die. And then it was too late. And she did not live. And she was survived by a young son. And it was a death that was preventable, and it has now gone through an investigation. A group of experts, including 10 doctors, reviewed the case and said that if she had been provided the correct care that doctors undoubtedly knew that she needed, she would have survived.
Absolutely. Of course she would have. All right. So for me, it begs the question of, what are we going to allow? What does it mean to Americans when a woman dies during pregnancy for whatever reason? And are we going to be a country that cares? Are we going to be a country that says, absolutely not, this will not stand? Or are we going to be a country that looks away, that it is okay if women are collateral damage from a draconian law?
Yeah, I mean, what the anti-choice advocates want is for the abortion laws to exist and for saving women's lives to be the exceptions. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. And I think that fundamentally their argument is, this is Kantian. It doesn't matter. These women shouldn't have gotten pregnant to begin with if they couldn't deal with the consequences. And this is what we need to do to ban abortion, which is ultimately the most important thing to them.
To them, yes, fetal personhood is the most important thing. And if some women die, and this is not even, and I do want to talk about the wide range of issues that women are going to have. One, you could have an issue with an abortion, although they're they're so rare. They're so rare. I mean, the thing that I was so concerned about with this ProPublica investigation, even though I love ProPublica, is that, this happened after a woman had a medical abortion. I was worried it was going to give fodder to the right to be like, well, medical abortions aren't safe. We know medical abortions are safe. This is rare. This is a rare thing. But we are also seeing women go into hospitals with ectopic pregnancies. We are seeing women go into hospitals where their water breaks well before a baby is viable, and they are also being turned away. They are also being told, well, you have to wait until you are actively dying, or until the baby's heartbeat is no longer traceable, which can take a very long time. Women are dying. Women are being sent out of state, being told, like, this care, we would love to give you this care. We can't. We're afraid of going to prison. Being sent out of state, being told to drive themselves. I just read a story about one woman taking out a $16,000 personal loan so that she would be able to get the care that she needed out of state because she couldn't get it in Idaho. And hospitals are also airlifting patients to hospitals in states without sugar bans. Like, this is actually happening. It's not one story. It's happening every single day.
Yeah. And, the Idaho Attorney General in the state of Idaho litigated whether they should have to provide women abortions in emergency rooms when that woman merely might die, right? Like they didn't, this isn't merely a happenstance thing. They sat down every day, a group of people for, I don't know what, a year, and worked on that case. And they stood up, the Attorney General of Idaho stood up at the Supreme Court and argued, no, in fact, it is fine. It is totally legal and logical to argue that the line should be a woman will die. And when she merely might die, or she might lose her uterus, or she might live forever in pain, that's not relevant to us, and that's not our obligation. And Project 2025 actually goes into detail on this issue. And I think one of the things about Project 2025 is it's so overwhelmingly large that people sometimes get like they lose the forest for the trees, I
do. I mean, I love that I have you in my phone, and, in real life sometimes to be my resident expert on Project 25. You're essentially an encyclopedia of it, because I can't parse it.
It's
and also
too much.
Well, it's too much. And also the language, I think, tell me if I'm wrong here, it feels purposely like a word salad. I mean, so that like no one can understand it.
Well, everything is written technocratically. It is meant to make it seem very dry and normal, and just like we're just engaging in, the common business of governing, and we're just planning and you have to know what they're referencing, right? So in this case, they're talking about EMTALA. No one would know what EMTALA is, no. But that is this law that says emergency rooms need to provide people stabilizing care, right? Like that is your job, and you must do everything that it takes. And in the case of pregnant women, an abortion may be a component of stabilizing care, right? That is, yes. And that is what was argued at the Supreme Court. And there was an AP investigation that showed over 100 hospitals have turned away or other hindered the healing of pregnant women in the past 2 years. And those hospitals should be investigated and they should be punished, right? And yes. What conservatives in Project 2025 are saying is absolutely not. We need to stop all of those investigations. We should not investigate or punish any hospital for failing to provide a full panoply of care that includes abortion for women who are at the hospital and need that care. They're also saying, this case against Idaho was brought by the United States government because the United States government said, hey, Idaho, you're doing a bad thing. You're not following federal law and providing women who need care that care in your hospitals. They're saying, stop bringing all of those cases, allow states to do whatever they want in this case. And if they want to deny all women abortions, women who have ectopic pregnancies, women who are going to lose uterus, women who are going to die and leave their children motherless, NBD, stop all the investigations, stop all the stays, stop everything. We don't want to go further with any of that. It's a very, very radical position. And for a political party that claims to be working in the interest of families and motherhood, you can see where the line is for them.
You can see where the line is. And it's a stark reminder that they don't care about mothers, okay? They do not. They care about women as vessels for carrying babies, but not mothers, because we are seeing mothers dying. We are seeing mothers leaving behind children, leaving behind young children, but they do not care about that. So this is not in support of mothers. This is not in support of families, of caring for children who are already in this world. That's not what they care about.
And maternity mortality rates, when you look at the list of how the 50 states ranked, the top states are all Republican run states, and this has been going on for years. Of course, it's, I'd always be remiss to add, the maternal mortality rate for Black women is particularly awful. Vice President Harris has been at the forefront of trying to address this issue. This is something we've known about for a really long time. And it's also been something that there hasn't been this massive political will to solve. And I think one of the unfortunate things about the way political organizing works is people need an individual narrative to galvanize around. And I think that what we are going to start to see for the next 6 weeks as we hurtle towards the most important election of our lifetime is an increasing focus on highlighting these individual narratives with the hope of galvanizing people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I want to dig into after we get back from a very quick break. Okay. All right. We are back. This is something I was thinking about when I was awake at 3 a.m. last night. I was thinking about how we need to know these women's names, how we need to galvanize around them, because, I mean, sadly, what we know is that just saying that women are dying is not enough. Okay. And so we really need to talk about what happened to these individual women, so that we do have something, to galvanize around. I've got to say, and you've said this before, but I'd love for you to talk about it a little bit. I do think that the Democrat, the liberal side of the abortion fight has been kind of lazy, okay, for a long time. They have really just they've been playing on the defensive. They haven't been playing on the offensive. And look what happened, okay? It's like what happened to the Eagles last night in Monday Night Football. They didn't go hard enough. They didn't go hard enough.
Yeah, so Amber Nicole Thurman gave her life in Georgia. She lost her life because doctors were unable to provide this care that she needed in post-Roe America. Her son lost his mother because of the decisions of Republican politicians. And there are so many other women who are experiencing pain and darkness, who are bleeding out in hospital parking lots. I have 2 personal friends who had to go into a parking lot and bleed out until a hospital believed they needed care, right? I think one of the things about this issue and the importance of talking about it publicly is all women who reach middle age know someone in their lives, I feel, who have had a pregnancy complication. And people we care about, people we love, for many of my followers, they tell me this could have been me. I mean, I, over the last 24 hours, I have received so many DMs. This could have been me. And it's incredibly scary, and it's incredibly real. But I think your point is correct. I was really ruminating on the 90s dictum of safe, legal, and rare. And
all right, explain what that is to people that don't know, or that maybe were born in the 90s.
Maybe we're born in the 90s.
We got you. We got you. Yeah.
So in the 90s, the prevailing wisdom on Dem messaging on abortion was the saying most famously said by Hillary Clinton, but said by others many, many times, which is it should be safe, legal, and rare. The obvious sentiment behind that is that abortion is something bad. It is something other. It is giving the value away to the other side. When Roe v. Wade was decided in 1974, abortion wasn't illegal across the board in all states in the country, right? Like, it wasn't this grand shift. But what we saw was conservatives realized this is a winning political issue. And so they started organizing, and they spent 50 years working to overturn Roe v. Wade. And it was this massive long-term strategy. And what Democrats didn't do is say abortion is healthcare. It should be treated as that. Women have bodily autonomy. They should get to make their own healthcare decisions, right? Like, at the end of the day, that is the line on abortion. Rather, they did what they do on many issues. Like, the Clintonian Democrats sought to always frame themselves as the common sense middle. They were very centrist. And if you have followed me for a long time, I have like a real abhorrence of centrism.
You do.
Which is one of my more wonkier side topics that most people are uninterested in. But diversion aside, so they set out to define themselves as the middle, in that way, giving already a way that, like, yeah, there is this thing called late-term abortion, and yeah, we're not that type of people who support that. A woman is dying. If her fetus is 30 weeks, she deserves health care if she's dying.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. And that is really the way this narrative should be. And we both did the messaging wrong, and we did not engage in the long-term planning. We were really, really asleep at the wheel while Leonard Leo and his cronies stacked the Supreme Court with ideologues who would overturn Roe v. Wade. And without
Wait,
Roe,
wait, stopping you, girlfriend. Who is Leonard Leo?
Leonard Leo is the villain, right? He is the villain in the chat. He is, if you haven't done a deep dive on him, I'm sorry, you're about to lose 40 minutes of your life. But
Damn it.
he is the brainchild behind the Republican takeover of the United States court system. And starting in the early 90s, he was the head of a conservative organization called the Federalist Society. And he created this innovation. And really, that's what his claim to fame is, when he realized, like, wait a minute, we don't have to play by the rules. We can turn the court system political, and we can input ideologues who will just do what we say. And he is behind 5 out of the 6 Supreme Court justices. He is also deeply connected to all of the bribery that goes on with Justice Thomas. He's a real bad dude. And he's in control of a literal multi-billion with a B, billion-dollar empire to take over America and institute Christian nationalism to benefit his capitalistic overlords. Because at the end of the day, this is about enriching his buddies.
I mean, there's so many people working behind the scenes that I don't think we know about. And again, I mean, that's naming things matters. Like talking about them, explaining them to people. And so much of this is getting lost also in the media quagmire right now of how our media behaves. So thank you for that explainer. I feel like if you're like a parent of young kids and you watch the podcast Greeking Out, which I listen to the podcast Greeking Out, there is, the very smart explainer person, and then the oracle who's like, could you please explain exactly what this means to me? And I'm like, could you tell me what that is, who that person is? Because I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, my problem is I could go on for another 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm the person that stops you, is the thing.
It's
I'm
true.
The person that's like, all right, pull it back, Emily.
Yeah. And I think that let's pivot the conversation about what can be done. And
yes, absolutely. I do want to say one more thing, though.
Yeah.
When it comes to 90s abortions, okay? I had an abortion in the 90s. I had an abortion when I was 16 years old. I don't look back on it with anything but just like gratitude, right? Like my life would not be what it is had I not had an incredibly supportive mother and been able to make that decision. That said, the fact that even like the Democrats saying, it should be rare, continued the shame of it. That, if you're doing this, it is shameful. It is a thing I did not talk about for 20 freaking years, okay? Until it became something, that we may not be able to access anymore, because I felt that shame and the Democrats did that, okay? They did.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, so often people talk about things don't change in politics. I remember when I was in college, I think it was Jennifer Baumgartner led a whole I Had an Abortion series, and it was transgressive and it was needed. And I think that now people don't sort of, we are talking about it so much more, not enough. And in a lot of circles, people aren't talking about it, which is why I constantly bring up also our friends, because I want us to talk more with our friends about these issues. But, that was 20 something years ago. It was very, very recent that it was transgressive to say I had an abortion.
Yes. It was transgressive. It was shameful. It was scary. And when I finally started talking about it as an adult woman who had children, literally half of my friends were like, yeah, of course, me too. Right. One of them was like, I had my abortion so long ago that I had to look up where to get one in the phone book.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is part of the fabric of women's lives. And I think this silence is a very, very effective tool used by the patriarchy and conservatives to make sure we don't politically organize.
100%.
Because
Absolutely.
Political organizing is just having conversations with people.
Yep.
And, that is why it's absolutely so critical. When we're talking about what needs to get done, we're gonna cut to a famous person talking more about these issues. But what I'll say is, the way we protect reproductive rights is politics. politics. There's no way to untangle these two things. And I hear from people say women's lives shouldn't be political. Okie dokes. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it is. They are.
Is. Sorry, they are. Yeah.
And the only path forward is to elect Democrats. And at minimum, we need to make sure that Donald Trump does not take the presidency, because if Donald Trump becomes president, he will use the Comstock Act to make abortion functionally inaccessible in this country. But if we want to actually protect reproductive rights and see codification, that means we need to elect a Democratic Senate and House, and then we need to start pushing them to change the Supreme Court. And like, this is a long haul fight. I was on a podcast yesterday, and I said I am positive that I will go.
Were you on with Sam Irby yesterday?
I was on Girls Gotta Eat.
Yeah.
And I was talking yesterday, and I was saying, I know that I'm going to go to sleep every night for the rest of my life, and fighting for reproductive freedom is going to be at the top of my agenda. I will never, ever have a day of my life when it isn't important. And it is a long haul fight, because there will always be men on the other side wanting to take away women's rights, wanting to take away our bodily autonomy. And it's always going to be a priority. And so that it needs to be a long haul fight with a long haul plan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to take one more quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about solutions, and then also some happy news. Okay. Because we're going to leave. I mean, there's nothing more depressing than women bleeding out in a parking lot. But we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to say it.
But
we have to say it over and over again.
Women organizing and women coming into their political power in a new day, that's a happy thought.
That's a happy thought. All right. When we get back, happy thoughts. Okay. We're back with some happiness. We're back with some cheer. And what you were saying before really resonated with me, because what I get from some liberal women often, and even some undecideds that I know, I'm in Pennsylvania. Okay. The election's going to be decided here. And so I meet undecideds all the time is, oh, okay. Yeah, of course. Like, I care about reproductive freedom, but I don't like the Democrat stance on X, Y, and Z. It's okay to be a single issue voter on this. I'm sorry. It just is. You don't have to agree with everything they say, and you're never going to. The majority of Republicans hate everything Donald Trump stands for, but it gets them where they want to go because it's practical. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I have, some very, very wealthy friends who are liberal as F, and they're like, yeah, but it's better for my bank account.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pushing this term that I think I came up with, but I'm not sure, called the threshold voter.
I love this term. Explain what that is. Yeah.
So, I think there is a lot of stigma about being a single issue voter. I think, like many things, the patriarchy makes women feel stupid for being single issue voters, even though there's so many of them who care about their bank account or guns.
How many men are single issue voters on guns? I'm sorry.
And a threshold voter is, there are a series of issues or a single issue that is a threshold matter for you. You will not vote for a candidate who does not meet your threshold. No. And so for me, that there's a couple things. One is reproductive rights. You have to support a woman's right to choose, the end, goodbye. And you have to support common sense gun reform. That's another threshold issue for me.
Same.
And if you don't meet those, I'm not even going to consider voting for you. It doesn't mean those are the only things I care about. There's lots of other things I care about.
So much. Yeah.
But those are threshold issues. And let's just say no one on the Republican ballot meets that threshold right now.
Right. They would have in years past. I mean, in years past, there would have been more nuance in this, but that does not exist anymore.
We are not in the time of nuance.
We are not in the time of nuance anymore, people. No. We just aren't. We aren't. So I think the most important thing is, especially if you are in, can you explain to everyone really quick, just quick and dirty, which states are really going to matter in this election?
Yeah. And so I'll say, for the presidential, it's likely down to 6 states. There are hundreds of other critical races across the ballot. I constantly talk about the Senate and the House, and it's really hard. Like, I can't even remember all the things. The 6 key swing states for the presidential are Pennsylvania, which most people say Pennsylvania will decide the election. Joe Piazza, no press. Go Birds. Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada. Where am I? Am I at 6? Wisconsin, Michigan. I don't know if I'm at
I
6.
feel like we're doing Nifty 50 United States.
Yeah.
Nifty 50 United States for 13
So I think
original colonies.
But there, North Carolina, Texas, Florida, people have hope, right? Because some of the Republican candidates are so awful that maybe we will see. I think, polling is showing everything neck and neck in every single place.
Everything. Every state is neck and neck right now. Yes.
And I will say, I have started talking to people who have been doing door-to-door canvassing in these blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And they are reporting the news that it's not as good as our echo chambers are making it out to seem, that they are in fact having some bad times with the door knocking, and a lot of people who are very much undecided and thinking about voting for Trump still. And so I think it's high risk to think that it's in the bag for Kamala, because it's most certainly not.
It's not.
And the Electoral College is a real thing, and that's a whole other podcast. But it's likely going to come down to 6% of voters in these 6 states, 60% of whom are women. And so if you have friends who are in one of these states, I really encourage you to start texting them. We created this program called Ripple Vote. Go to ripplevote.org and you can input your friends' information. You can find out if they are registered to vote. You can even see their voting history since 2020, which is really interesting. Also fun for using to look up ex-boyfriends to see what they've been up to.
I haven't looked at my ex-boyfriends.
Oh, that's
I'll bet you.
I'm shocking. Shocking, Joe.
You're shocked I haven't done that?
Yeah.
I'll bet that my high school boyfriend voted for Trump.
It doesn't tell you who they voted for. It just tells you if they voted.
Okay.
But nonetheless, my high school boyfriend just doesn't vote. So, which I'm like, red flag. So you can do that, and then you will be fed scripts to text them about exactly what is on their ballot.
Yes. Which is, it's so helpful. People ask us all the time, they're like, what can I do to help? Door knocking can be time intensive. It can also be incredibly demoralizing. Mm-hmm. Ripple is an easy way. You're literally just sending text, and you're sending text in real person speak as opposed to, campaign speak, of which I think I just get too many of those.
Right.
It's like, this is the last chance you could ever do anything.
You're not signing up for your friend to suddenly get 400 texts from Nancy Pelosi.
No, you're not. You're really not. I will say, I do find door knocking demoralizing, especially in the places where it really matters. It's tricky too in the places where it matters, because Bucks County, where I'm from, I was up there for a book event the other night, and Bucks County is going to be a real battleground. But we're talking about the suburbs. There's no sidewalks, okay? And these houses are spaced far enough apart. You're walking on the side of the road. You can't park in front of someone's house because they're going to get pissed at you. So what I've been doing is what I call bar chatting. So I've been going to suburban restaurants, suburban bars, sitting there and just chatting people up, because I think conversations matter, right? And there is a gentle way of doing things. In one bar, we were all sitting there watching the Olympics. I think the Olympics is something that brought us all together, right? And then you can just easily start slipping things into a conversation and be like, hey, can I buy you a drink? Because personal connections, I think, will matter. So if you're not into if you're not into door knocking, try bar chatting.
Bar chatting, the Joe Piazza special. Yeah. There's something for everyone to do in this election. And what's important is, I think a lot of people are feeling very overwhelmed and existential dread and paralyzed by that fear. And what's important to realize is you don't have to do everything, but you have to do something. Yeah,
you don't have to do everything, but you have to do something. Can we finish with some good news? I have some good news that's going to surprise you.
Okay, tell me.
Actually. Well, what I just want to talk about, it's not really good news. It's something that I want people to look up in order to just feel better about themselves. Have you heard about this adorable baby pygmy hippo?
Oh my God, I have. Pesto. No, Pesto's the baby penguin. I apologize.
Pesto's the baby penguin. This is Moodang. Okay. Moodang is in a zoo in Thailand, and he's become an unlikely TikTok star. I want everyone to look up Moodang right now. He's only 2 months old.
Oh my God.
And he is just a chubby stick of butter is what Moodang is.
Oh my God.
Moodang's name translates to bouncy pork.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. That's right. He looks like some bouncy pork. He does. And he likes baths, and sometimes he doesn't like baths, and that's even cuter when he doesn't like a bath. And he's bringing joy to the world. Okay. I think, we could really galvanize voters if we told them that Mudeng would come door knock at their house.
No kidding. I have a friend who brought her little kid to go door knocking with her, and the report back is she did in fact help. Cuteness wins. Every
Cuteness
time.
wins. I've strapped babies to me before when I was door knocking for Biden. B was a baby, and I had her strapped to my chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's about them.
Well, and it's also, you're not going to turn away someone with a baby strapped to them as quickly as you will like
It's true.
a dude.
Yeah,
A dude.
it's true.
Yeah.
So my good news is we've now heard that there was over 400,000 clicks from Taylor Swift posting her endorsement of Kamala Harris on the voter registration website.
Yeah, there was. There was.
And I keep saying the 2000 election was decided by 537 votes. Every registration
that,
matters.
Keep saying
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Because people keep acting like, well, it's not that much. She has so many followers. It's a lot. It's a lot. And 537 votes decided the presidential election in 2000.
Yeah. Yeah. This matters. All of it matters. Okay. Like doing all of the things. And Taylor, look, you wrote about this on the Substack, on the @Emily in Your Phone Substack. It's a great newsletter, that Taylor's endorsement fucking mattered. And, I do think that she was dismissed because she is a young woman. Like, I don't think if Travis Kelce came out with an endorsement, no one's gonna be like, doesn't matter what Travis Kelce says. People will be like, I'm so glad that Travis Kelce did that.
It's the dad's babysitting of it all.
It really is. It really is. Yep. Yep. All right. Well, those things made me happy. Those made me happy. Just never forget, start the conversation today. Like, everything that you do matters. You could talk to 537 people.
It's true. Over the next 6 weeks, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could actually decide this election. Mind blown.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
everyone. It's been good. We've got issues and we want to talk about them.
We sure do. Thanks for being here.